Welcome to Chainlink Live. We've got Louis from Run It Wild. Hey, everybody. Sorry about the slight delay. There is a heinous storm in Australia, in Melbourne, where Louis is. And so he was like, we don't know what's going on with the internet. And so we may not have our pre scheduled guest, Adam, but we've got Louis. And so we're actually going to still talk about Run It Wild. We're going to talk about the Australian Open and about this whole process. I'll show you guys some of the art because the art is amazing. I was just looking at some of the designs on the balls there, and Louis part of the creative team there as well. So before we get started with that, let's do our little intro. It's very short, Louis, don't worry. And then we'll get started in these questions. Cool?
Sounds good. Let's
Sounds
do it.
good.
Hey everybody, it's Andy from Chainlink Labs. I got Zaji with me on that side. Oh, look, I got that. I got it right.
You did it.
I got cool new art I'm super excited about, and I got my glowing fish tank over here. We've got Louis from Run It Wild. Run It Wild was an organization to help get the Australian Open connected to the Metaverse, these AO Metaverse NFTs that end this world. And so really excited to hear what this is, how it works. And Louis, what was your part in it? Can you just give us a little story and background?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm I'm a creative lead at Run It Wild. So basically my job is to think about, how we bring brands into the space and how we sort of do it in a way that pushes the boundaries a little bit, how we can work with the technology, but also, heroing art, collectability, and community as well. So pretty much every touch point, thinking about, just ways that we can push the boundaries a little bit.
Cool. Can you talk a little bit about this launch? The NFTs launched a week or so ago, depending on when people are watching this, whenever it was, a week during the Australian Open tennis tournament. But what does this have to do with the tennis tournament? How are those things connected?
Yeah, for sure. So we basically got given the task of creating just a simple collection for the Australian Open because they wanted to enter the space. They're very tech focused. They've actually got investments in a lot of startups, and they're always looking at the future of sport. So we were super excited, obviously, considering where Run It Wild is an Australian team, as you know, hence the internet issues. But that hasn't held us back. So yeah, we were stoked to take them on board. We're actually a lot of us are from Melbourne as well, myself and Adam. And so it's quite close to our hearts. And so they came to us and said, look, we want some sort of entry into the metaverse and potentially an NFT project. And we sat there for such a long time, really sweating it because we didn't just want to do the expected. And the expected was just an art collection, right? And that would have been amazing. And obviously we started with what's the canvas, what's the object, how can we hero tennis culture but also create a beautiful art project? And we've got incredible designers, David Port and Nick. They're sort of our 3D specialists, but just incredible artists as well, and art directors. And so we thought, we'll use a tennis ball because that's just an object that everyone, collectability wise, who loves tennis would appreciate. And then we thought, why don't we make the tennis ball the canvas? And we create these beautiful generative designs. And we got to that point, right? So we had, our generative series, which is, there we go. So basically,
we'll show off some of these.
Yeah, please do, because a lot of work that's gone into them. So Nick has created a system that randomizes the generative patterns in the software. So this isn't layering. Like a lot of 3D projects have to basically render out layers that can be subbed in and out to make up all of these different alterations. But basically what he's done is set a generative processing in the software that just creates true random kind of designs based upon a bunch of different possibilities. So as it's moving down the chain, it can go, we're going to use that color with that noise filter and that modulation. Sounds like a lot of jargon, but it's incredible when you see it working. And then we did the legend and the artist series. So we got the community on board. And we were kind of at that point, but then we sort of thought, how can we link it to tennis? We really want it to be integrated into the actual sport, right? So it's not just, we didn't want it to be a souvenir. We wanted it to be something that gets people on the couch watching the games. And so we had this aha moment where Nick actually showed me similar to what we're seeing here, a render of the court. He lined all the balls up on it, and it was purely just for an art sort of driven concept for Decentraland. And then we had this sort of brain spark where we said, well, why can't we allocate these tennis balls to sections on the court and integrate it with real data? Because we knew that Tennis Australia have incredible line calling technology, and that data is down to like beyond the millimeter. We've had some match points that have been down to less than a millimeter. So yeah, we got in touch with the folks at Tennis Australia and said, can we use this data? And they said absolutely, and it was all systems go from there.
So there's coordinates on here, right? We got plot ID and we've got coordinates. Is this where a ball has landed in a match or in a particular match, or like how do those coordinates work?
Yeah, so I think now if you scroll down a little bit, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's a filter that you can click and it says match points.
My screen won't let. Hold on. I'm using a weird browser situation, so mine isn't going.
Yeah, it might just cut off at the bottom. There we go. So yeah, bottom
I'm
left.
streaming, I'm recording, and I'm doing this all at once. So
you're doing this live. I'm very impressed.
Dude, this is on battery power. Hold on, let me plug in. I'm about to be doomed. Why did I do that?
Also, on that note, it also depends on the final match point as well, right? Like there's some sort of incentive there to get that NFT. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So there's the 11 championship matches, the finals, and they are definitely what everyone's going to be having their eyes on because you get a championship point, obviously, 1 of 11. Your NFT, whenever you get a match point, your NFT is updated visually and in the metadata as well. So the traits change. And the traits will tell you who the player was that made that final match point, which is really cool. And then you get these awesome little stickers on your AOR balls that indicate that they've, claimed some match points. The championship match will give you a nice shiny gold sticker, but you'll also get updated. The perspex box that it sits in will be in gold. And I think we're working on some MP4s as well. So they'll actually start rotating in the box. So it's definitely, as a collector, a massive incentive. But then we've also got a physical giveaway we're working on as well. Currently, we're just trying to figure out how we can get around legalities to get them to overseas collectors. But the actual ball used in the championship final matches is part of the giveaway there.
Ooh, cool.
So a lot of
that's going to be so cool. Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Is there something I should click here to show off anything special or?
Oh yeah, so if you unclick legend and then hit match points again, there we go.
There we go.
So these are all the match points currently. You can filter by player now. So Ben, our amazing web genius, has been.
Who should I choose?
Some filters in. Oh, pick your fancy, anyone you like. I'm a big Emma fan, but yeah, you can filter by players, but you can also we've got some filters coming in soon that will allow you to filter by the semi-finals, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and obviously the finals matches as well. So that's coming very soon. But yeah, you'll notice that when you hover over these match points, you can actually sort of click them and they will take you to OpenSea. You can see, obviously if they're listed, and yeah, it's pretty cool. And you can see the sticker down the bottom right there. So that's a first round match. So the first match
it did open to OpenSea. It won't. I'm not screen sharing that.
You won't show it, yeah.
But this is cool. Yeah. Well, this one I was on is not listed, but hey, good
Yeah, so it's funny because oh sorry, so you go.
No, I was just going to ask how this is coming into play with who's actually getting involved in terms of the collectors. Like, are you seeing it being more of crypto native type people, or is this bringing in some like athlete type fans? What are you seeing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We've actually had a couple of tennis players that are sort of really getting into the scene, chatting with us. We've had some of them on some of the streams that we've done as well. And some of them are actually Medikey holders as well. So, they've already been in the scene. And as for crypto native, like obviously those people have come in because they love the utility. But we've also had a lot of new people coming, which is awesome, and they're coming in with these questions like, how do I set the MetaMask up, and how do I deposit funds? And, while it's hard to get back to everyone, it's actually just awesome to see that we've got that sort of more mainstream adoption, and we're getting more people into the space through, a globally recognized sport. And that's the whole point. And that's all, the AO is a non-profit organization. So really, they just want to enter the space and get more people involved through tennis. So yeah, it's super exciting.
Is AO Metaverse Is that like a sister organization to the Australian Open, and they're just trying to figure out like how to do tech, how to do digital to make these experiences engaging? Is that what that is?
Well, we actually, yeah, so that's all us. We run the AO Metaverse directly with the Australian Open. So we work with Ridley, who's incredible. He's you know, on the Australian Open team, but also he is part of our team. So
Cool.
it's directly, you know, it's intrinsic to the Australian Open, and something that you know, through conversations that we're having now and conversations we've been having, is around to stay, which is really exciting. So a lot of people are asking about future utility, and let's just say there's a lot coming. We're really excited, and we're actually talking to a lot of people around the world as well. So it's definitely not the end after this tournament, that's for sure.
We got a guy in the chat who has 3 match point balls, an old school crypto guy, and a tennis fan. Awesome to have you here, lawyer man. That's great
Huge.
to hear. I was thinking about these as collectibles. Like if I attend a historical sporting event, you know, a World Series, a Super Bowl, a World Cup, hopefully, cross my fingers, I can go to Qatar. I might get a collectible ball, and I would want to display that somewhere because it's a memory of the experience. It's a conversation starter. There's nothing different about these than these physical objects, right? You put them in a display frame, you put them up. That's what a lot of these NFTs are, is like they're these really interesting collectibles. So to tie that to experience without like the real world component and this, you know, other stuff, I think is really strong, especially when it's tied to this event. Because sure, some people go to the Australian Open regularly, but like I might go to that once in my life. Like that's a cool thing to do, a neat experience, and to have a memory of that, a collectible of that. It just fits. It just makes so much sense to me.
Yeah, totally. And I think something to remember as well is the fact that we're working in the digital realm. We can always update and you know, better what we're doing. You know, you buy a physical piece of memorabilia, or you know, something from a gift shop. That's it. You know, it's kind of time's ticking. It just withers with age, and at some point the dog knocks it off the shelf and chews on it, and it's kind of game over. You know, but
I got
like
some
with
back here.
these,
They're falling apart, man.
keep them safe, man. But you know, and obviously a lot of purists haven't got their head around, you know, digital ownables. But the exciting thing is we can be updating these. We can add future utility. You know, they're not just something you stick on your shelf. They're keys to future access to events, and you know, part of our kind of mission here is to make sure that we are constantly thinking about the collectors into the future and adding value. And that's the whole point of NFTs, right? It's you own the key to whatever project that you buy into, and therefore, you know, you have access to anything that they do in the future, and that's what excites us a lot. So this is the Genesis project. So, you know, it's the first of many things to come.
Incredible. And you're tying this into somewhat of a metaverse Decentraland piece as well, right?
Yeah, totally. We're just getting the numbers at the moment, but potentially one of the most, or the most engaged event in Decentraland in history, which is pretty exciting. Yeah, we've had some really epic numbers. We had a bunch of POAPs that people can do. You can enter the Rod Laver Arena, like hit some balls, which I did. And you know, so it's play to earn in some of those aspects. We had sort of tennis racket hunts where you go around and find the tennis rackets to win some POAPs. Yeah, it's really cool. We're but showing some of the classic matches throughout AO history, so you can go and actually watch them on the screens. And obviously for our AO Bowl holders, lots of airdrops, airdrops, and we've got a bunch of them lined up, about to hit go on them. So there's going to be plenty into the future as well. And we're actually working on an event that's, you know, more to be announced, but basically got some potential music acts that we're trying to rope in. So that'll be great as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So yes, it's really bringing in the experience that you could have at the Australian Open into the metaverse, and tying that into NFTs and everything that people are starting to get curious about. So that's really exciting.
I was trying to figure out how to get into the Decentraland right now, but I think my computer will fry. So I'm not going to do that one, but y'all can go check it out. Is the court still up? Can people go and see that stuff?
Absolutely, it's all still there. Cool. Yeah, you can run straight
into
the
an open world platform. You can go in and you connect a MetaMask wallet. You don't have to have funds. You just go in and explore. So please check that out.
yeah, you can go in as a guest and check it all out. So yeah, run around. It's pretty much a smaller scale model of the entire Melbourne Park. So if you've ever been, you'll know where to go, because it's kind of the same thing, with extra bells and whistles. And yeah, it's pretty cool to experience the Australian Open, but people are running around with like light up heads and flying around on dragons, and yeah, it's just it's pretty crazy, but I love it. It's so good.
We're talking to you because you guys have integrated Chainlink VRF for randomization. What's the randomness component? There's you mentioned the design on the balls. Is that part of it, or is it distribution? How does randomness work in this?
Yeah, so distribution is a really big one. So basically ensuring that, because we have the plot allocations, so every ball has a plot, and people are getting, when we were minting, people were more excited about the plots than the artworks or legendary balls, because obviously that the utility behind watching the match and seeing where the match points land was what got a lot of people excited. So it was really important to us to make sure that the randomization was true, it was fair, there was no way to get around it or to hack it or to do anything that would compromise fairness for everybody. And so that allocation of the court plots and the token IDs on those AO balls purely random, which is really important.
Yeah, one of those ones I was on earlier was like right on the line, and so I was like, "Oh, that one's probably a pretty exciting ball to have there." It was, somebody's make or break moment right there.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of people were sort of freaking out because they got these plots that were like near the net or right on the line. But the thing is, like, it happens, and if you win one of those shots, it's just an iconic moment, right? Like, straight down the line, it's kind of a pretty standard win. But if you get something that's a little bit more unique, that moment that you own, and because that's the whole point of it is, you don't just own the ball, you own the moment. Like, so if an epic shot happens and everyone's talking about it, and that's landed on your your plot, that's definitely bragging rights to be able to own that, which is really cool. And that's something we're working on in the future as well, by the way. We've got all this data, and the data that we're using has so much in it. It's got velocity, it's got the whole rally, and we're looking at how can we visualize those moments in a way that we can also give to the holders in the future as well, which is really cool.
That's super interesting. So I was at a panel last December, Basil, and we were talking about sports data, and sports data is proprietary to the networks that televise it, to the leagues, to different people. So for you guys to have access to that, as being official partners with AO Metaverse and with the Open itself, that's pretty exciting, because that's like this piece of history that you have the rights to attach to digital objects and do these things. It's this cool, complicated world of data and data ownership that NFTs are really starting to butt up against and figure out. So it's really interesting. I'm very curious to see what happens with that, especially in terms of sports data.
Yeah, totally. I think that's the funny thing with a lot of, I love the fact that you don't have to be anyone to create an NFT project. And that has pros and cons. It's the Wild West, and obviously you got to do your due diligence and actually figure out who these people are and make sure that, there's someone you can trust. And that was a big question when we started with the AO as well, was basically, like, are these people linked to the AO? Everyone was saying. And, once we sort of proved that we were, everyone was a lot more uncomfortable with us. But the main thing is, for validity, like, if you get the sort of people to trust what you're doing, then it's kind of all systems go from there. Sorry, what were you saying before, Andy? You were talking about
sports data.
Yeah, the sports
pieces.
Yeah, so
yeah.
the thing that's hard with that is the player IP. That's the only thing that's hard to get around. And
well,
so
tennis is kind of unique in that, more unique in that regard, because the players are the teams.
Exactly.
It's kind of more siloed.
It's more independent, I guess, in that way.
Yeah, so, and I have no idea what the contractual situation is in global tennis, but I'm sure it's interesting, complicated, probably closer to golf than it is to like the NFL, the football. It's so regimented and held by the league and the teams and things like that. Anyways, plenty for the lawyers to explore.
Yeah, it's basically just you've got to be careful not to use anyone's names to sort of sell anything, but using them as part of owning history is definitely safe, and that's what we're working with. So yeah.
Awesome. And you've
Yeah.
also been sharing a little bit about the fan experience and how that's all coming into play. You know, on the Chainlink side, we've seen a lot of NFT projects like Des Bryant and LaMelo Ball, and now the Australian Open and the athlete side of things jumping into this. What's the value add for like sports organizations, and why is this so important for them to engage with their fans?
Yeah. So, sorry, you were saying
Like,
the internet's a little bit
why would the
different.
sports organizations like Australian Open want to really get into this NFT space? You know, I mean, it's so new, it's so fresh. What have they been seeing that's really important for them to be doing with their fans on this front?
Totally. Well, a big one at the moment is obviously, you know, the Australian Open this year has had to cut its capacity by 50%, just purely from what's going on in the world. And, you know, yeah, and we were talking about it before that happened, actually, you know, a month before. We were saying it's just such a great time to be offering experience globally from the comfort of your home, for accessibility. And the AO is all about, you know, accessibility and getting everyone involved. And there were a lot of people that were saying, damn, you know, I can't make it this year, it's just too hard to get over. Some people that would fly in year to year. And that's the great thing about the metaverse, is you can create these experiences that everyone can kind of join no matter what happens. So I think moving into the future with all those unknowns, it's definitely a place to be looking at. And that's why, you know, I know that's one of the reasons that Tennis Australia was really interested in getting involved, but also just the fact that, you know, as mediums change over the year, you know, with social media, like look at what social media has done with the sporting world and how live people can comment on games and matches and get involved. Like, I think it's a bit of a no-brainer that with the move, some big IPs are making in this space, that the metaverse is going to be the next thing for people connecting over things like sport. Yeah.
I just got a good idea, or I don't know if it's a good idea to do, but
pitch it.
Well, and
Shark
this is a
Tank.
theoretical. This isn't a pitch. This is theoretical. It is over the past decade or more, as TV experiences and the home viewing experience has improved. Like, I can sit on my couch and the quality can get really good if I invest. I don't, I'm cheap. But if somebody could get like really great sound, super immersive, it becomes harder and harder to justify going to live games and getting crappy seats and being in the cold and like doing all the stuff, or the hot in the storm in Australia's case. And live attendance has gone down, and a ton of sports organizations have worked really hard at adjusting to that. All sorts of other entertainment, like reducing the cost of concessions. They're trying all sorts of things, and it doesn't work all the time because it's hard. Like, it's comfortable to stay home compared to going out. The metaverse is a place where you can do both, right? You can go to an event that is an owned event, that it is in-person event. It's just in a digital person event, and I can be as comfortable as I am at home. I can see live events and venues really leaning into this.
Because you're capturing those users still, like they're still coming to the event.
I can even set up like a concessions menu and have it delivered to my door and like stuff like that. There's all sorts of fun stuff that you could do with that. I would not be surprised to see a lot of that coming in the next few years. That's exciting.
Yeah. There was an event, I think the name escapes me, but you could order a drink at the bar and it would be delivered to your house through a delivery service. So like, yeah, I mean, I was talking
to one of the Warwick brothers, and he wants to make a metaverse beer hat, so like we can actually drink while we're goggled up and things like that. So he's Australian as well. I think it's an Australian thing.
Yeah, I could pick that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, replace the coffee. Yeah, I think, you know, we're in such early days with the metaverse and the way that these virtual worlds are looking at the moment. But I personally have been talking to some incredible sort of VR experiential creators around the world, and they've shown me some things that they're working on. And obviously, when you create spaces that are extremely in depth and lifelike, it does you hit a few hurdles, obviously, because of the data size and the streaming. But they're working on ways that, you know, you can preload some of that stuff. But let's just say, you know, these experiences will make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. It's just incredible how lifelike some of this stuff is. And if we get to that point, you can imagine having a seat and watching a game that is close to live being streamed right in front of you, and you can look around and that sort of stuff, you know, and that might only be a few years off. So yeah, you can imagine, you know, global sporting events to a global audience, and everyone can jump in no matter where they are in the world and get that experience. So I can see sport being a massive player in the game in the future for sure.
Yeah, we're super excited to jump into that and hopefully experience it really soon. So yeah, Louis, just to close things out, what is on the roadmap for Run It Wild, and how can everybody find you and follow these metaverse experiences?
Yeah, it's a funny one actually. We have a lot of people in the Discord saying, "Oh, you know, where can we find Run It Wild?" And the truth is, like, we've literally just been so on the tools that we haven't even thought about creating our own sort of website. So we need to do that soon.
So you're like behind the scenes of AO Metaverse, essentially.
Yeah, we're underground. No, we definitely don't want to be underground forever. So we will definitely be sort of launching some more public things about, you know, ourselves. For the moment, we're staying humble and we're just really focused on making AO the best it can be. Got a bunch of projects coming up in the future as well. So we would, you know, obviously love to think about creating some sort of community for ourselves that we can reward people across multiple projects. But yeah, so that's a lot happening in the pipeline. But currently, we've got a couple of days left and a big weekend with the final. So we're going to be, you know, heads down and just really working on that.
Nice. Oh, what's the current standing? Do we know? I haven't even been checking. Who's winning?
The current standing?
Yeah, the
I've got
Australian.
to jump in as well. Yeah, I'm about to finish this copy and jump in and see. So Nick gets fed all the data every day, so he knows all the goss. He knows things as soon as they happen. So yeah.
Semifinals tomorrow. That's all I know. Maybe that's tonight for Australia time. I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah, we got the semis and then the finals start on the weekends, which would be a big deal. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, well, Louis, it was so awesome talking to you. If anybody wants to jump into the metaverse, please do check out the Australian Open and the AO Metaverse to learn more about what they're building. And hopefully this will happen again next year, maybe. I'm not sure. It'd be amazing to continue this.
Yeah, it's looking like it. We'll have more on that really soon as well, hopefully by the end of the week.
Perfect. All right. Well, we really appreciate you coming by, and we'll see you next time for sure.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Peace. Good to meet you, Louis.
Likewise. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We got all the community comments in here. We just got off on kind of a sports talk there a little bit, but great to see everybody joining. Thank you for sticking with us through a little bit of the delay and some of those weather issues happening in Melbourne now. But awesome to have you guys here, tennis fans. If you've got more questions about AO Metaverse, about Run It Wild, there's a bunch of links down below in the description. You can follow them and some of their progress there. You can also learn more about Chainlink with those links down there. We do these AMAs usually 2 a week. This is like a bonus episode. But we've got a couple more next week. There's not going to be one Monday, but there will be one. All right, let's talk. Let's plug this because I want y'all to come. You can come and talk tennis next week. It won't be about tennis. We're talking to Wayu on Tuesday. I don't know what Wayu is yet. I got to find out. I haven't done my research yet. I'll be honest. Oh, and then we're talking to Ether Risk on Wednesday. Ether Risk does flight delay insurance that's powered by smart contracts and Chainlink data. So that one's actually super exciting. Got a lot of press earlier this week. So we're going to talk to them, kind of learn what all that's about, and maybe get some flight insurance. Who knows what I'll do. Anyways, follow more on Chainlink at Chainlink on the official channel to get official updates on products and all sorts of big announcements. Follow at smart_contract to get announcements about events like these and all sorts of live events and other cool stuff that we do as well. Like and subscribe to get updates in your inbox or wherever you get updates for cool YouTube videos. And thank you to my friend Zaji and Kevin hanging out down in the down below. He's like learning how. He's in the backstage. And a big thanks to Louis for jumping on from Run It Wild at AO Metaverse. That's all I got. Let's call it. See ya. Have a good one.